What's going on, everybody? It's Cody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video talking about what's happening here in Southern Utah. We're going to be talking about home prices, interest rates, what's happening with the market, where the market's going, and my prediction on what we are going to see over the coming months as we go into the second half of summer as well as into fall. We're going to talk about a lot of information here in this video. We're going to talk about pros and cons. We're going to talk about whether you should buy right now, sell right now, pretty much everything here in this video today. As we do that, guys, thank you so much for watching these videos. If I can help you in any way, I want to be your trusted real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to me, call, text, or email me anytime. I've now had thousands of people literally reach out from videos just like this who are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in Utah. My team and I service the entire state. So whether you're looking here in St. George or you're looking up north in Utah, in northern Utah, in the Salt Lake area, or anywhere in between, my team and I can help make that happen. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, my information's here on the screen. Call, text, or email me anytime. I love hearing from you guys and cannot wait to help you along in your journey. With that being said, we're going to jump on my screen here. We're going to first take a look at two different data sets for what's happening across the board. We're going to take a look at this UtahRealEstate.com. Now, we actually have two different MLS systems that get used in the St. George area. We've got access to both of them. Some of the information is going to be overlapping. Some of it's going to be duplicate. Some of it's going to only be on one system but not the other. So we kind of have to combine these two and really see where things are at by just kind of inferring what the data is telling us here. So for June of 2024, this column right here, this number 162, is the number of home sales that we had according to this data set. Median listing price, was 520,000 with a median sales price of 512,500. This represents a roughly 1% discount off of where the home was listed at. Now, this is actually surprising, because what we're going to look at here in just a minute shows something that's a little bit different. So for January, February, March, April, May, all of these months we were much lower. Not January, 98, but February, 95%, 95, 97, 96, and then 99. So how much somebody is able to negotiate off of the listing price has actually been reduced over the last month or so. Going back to March, April, or May, you theoretically could have gotten a much better deal on a house by being able to negotiate a little bit harder. The listing price starts off a little bit high, then it gets negotiated down, or maybe the seller just drops the price to a more realistic number, and that's where the home ends up selling at. It's also interesting to see that days on market has declined. That's this last column right here. We were at roughly 40 during the winter months. Then we had 34, 38, 28, 27. So days on market has come down. Sales prices have gone up. You know, the sales price data on this one is not exactly accurate. This is your median list price, this column right here. Median sales price. We had it's all over the place, frankly, based on just what homes are selling during that month. January, 574. Then we were 491, 523, 580, 530, 512. So you might look at this and think, hey, if you're looking back to April, homes are down substantially. However, if you're looking at, let's say February, you might think, oh, home prices are up, right? So who knows what's really happening? We're going to take a look at this other data set to get a more clear picture on what's happening there. So first off, I want to start with we're going to talk about all these graphs here. The number of listings that are coming onto the market. Active listings has stayed almost the same for the past 4 or 5 months. Since March, even going back to February, the number of active listings has sat around 1,600 homes. This is according to the Flex MLS, which is, again, our other MLS system. This is going to include probably most of the listings in the area, probably 80 to 90%, maybe even more, maybe 90 to 95%, but there will be some that are left off. So this actually gives us a pretty good overview of where the market's at and what this actually looks like. And we're going to talk about why this is happening, why interest rates are where they are, what's going to happen to them, my predictions on it, and what we're going to see in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. The number of new listings actually dropped. Here in May, we were at 724. New listings dropped to 587. So we actually saw a pretty big drop off in the number of new listings. For sold listings, we went from 533 to 391. So the number of sales that is happening is also decreasing. Listing prices, pretty much the same thing during this time. Active list price actually increased, but sold median sale price actually decreased from 501 to 490. So this did actually decrease just slightly. Again, you can see this information is kind of all over the place. It really just depends on which homes are selling, how much they're selling for, what the market's doing, what interest rates are doing, and what we're kind of seeing across the board. We'll talk about this here in a minute, why we saw this decrease here over the last couple of months. We'll talk about some few specific things that are relevant here to Washington County. The absorption rate has decreased just slightly. This is how many months it would take for all homes to sell if there was no new homes being listed. And the sold to list price ratio also fell. We were at 96.9%, now down to 96.5%. So it's interesting to see that over here we were at 99%, whereas over here you're at 96.5%. This could infer that you do have higher priced homes, maybe more desirable homes being listed on this other MLS system. Maybe this one's a little bit more broad, maybe it gives you a better picture. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but it's good to be able to look at both data sets to draw a conclusion from. Now, 2 more graphs, and then we'll move on to where interest rates are and what's happening in the market. So days on market has also decreased. This is pretty typical as we go into the spring selling season. We do see that days on market will decrease, but then it does typically jump back up just a little bit in summer. The reason for this is because Washington County, I mean, it's hot. If you guys know, if you've been here or you already live here, it gets hot, right? From pretty much the end of May through early September, it is going to be hot, hot, hot. You're pushing 95, 100, even 110 or more every single day. It's sunny, it's hot, it's dry, it gets windy. This is just the nature of the beast living here in St. George. It gets hot, and that's when people get out of town. So we generally see the market kind of slow down. April, May, and June are not bad, but then by the time we hit July, August, it does slow down because this is when people are traveling. We have the holidays. We have a state holiday here, July 24th. We just have a ton of stuff going on. School's out, people are on vacation, whatever. That's when the market really slows down. So something to kind of keep in mind there with what's happening across the board. Price volume. Now this actually shows you what the collective amount of the homes that are selling, what their volume is for total value, right? So sold sale volume for as of June 24th was $236 million, which again is down pretty substantially from May, the month prior, which is at $326 million. So we're down almost $100 million in sales. That's roughly, it's about 90 million that volume is down. So something to kind of note there. Now, why is this happening? If we actually take a look at interest rates over the last couple of months, this is going to show you why this is happening. So let me go back over here and show you sales prices, right? So we're looking at listing prices here in April. We were at 526. Then we came down to 501 and then 490. The number of sold listings also kind of went up and then went down during this time. We were at 454, then to 533, then down to 391. So looking from April at 454 to June at 391, this is going to show why interest rates, how interest rates actually affect the market directly. So with that being said, looking at April, let's even go back to March. March, we were sitting right here around 7%. 7% interest. It's up a little bit, down a little bit. It actually increased almost to 7.5%, or did get to 7.5% during the middle portion of April. Now, for people who were looking at buying a home during the middle of April, that means they were probably closing on their home sometime in May, which is, gives us about a 2 to 3, maybe even 4 week lead time on when they locked in their interest rate. So for everybody here locking in at 7.5% in April, or thinking about purchasing here during this time, they're going to be hit with these higher rates. And theoretically, most of those people, or not most, but a lot of those people are going to drop out and just say, hey, at 7%, I could stomach this, but at 7.5%, it's just too much. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make sense to be able to get the home that I want. And that is reflected in the number of home sales that we saw. So May actually increased, I think probably because we saw most of those people, hopefully anyway, lock in at the lower interest rate you saw in early May. And then it went up, but then it actually fell back down as we go into June, because there's usually about a 30 to 45 day time frame of when people actually close on their home. So May and June, you can kind of see the interest rates here. It's up, it's down a little bit. Here we got down to about 7%, back up to 7.3, and then as of today we're sitting about 7.14%. If we take a look at FHA and VA, these are showing about 6.5%. You can see, and I should also mention that here in Utah, we're typically about 0.5% lower than what you're going to see here, maybe even 5/8%. So when we're talking about conventional loans being here at roughly 7, low 7% range, that really means you're closer to about 6.5 to maybe 6.75% here in Utah, assuming that you're working with a good lender who's shopping around and finding you the best rate possible. So that should just be a reference point for you on what you can kind of expect out there in the market. Now, I want to talk about why home prices actually are where they're at. Interest rates should be the biggest driver of what's happening in the market, but that doesn't always tell the full picture. I want to talk about inflation as well as unemployment here in the state of Utah. So for the country, Our annual inflation rate is currently sitting in the low 3% range. If I scroll up here just a little bit, you can see inflation was super low for this is a graph showing the last 10 years. From 2014 to 2020, early 2020 anyway, our inflation rate was super low, right? We were sitting at roughly, under 1% here and right around 2%, which is the target here over these number of years. Then we jumped up substantially, 6.5%, and now we've come down to 3.4, 3.3. So inflation is still a good, you could say it's a good like 35, 40% higher than where it should be on a month-over-month basis. Yes, inflation has come down, but it is still, being persistent. It's still out there. It's still in a position where people are being affected by this. You can see that, early 2023, we're at 6.4, 6, 5, 4.94. We came down substantially going into the summer. Then it actually increased, came back down, and it's kind of been up and down since then, right? Even this year, 3.1, 3.2, 3.5, you're thinking, oh man, are we going back up? What's happening with inflation? Then 3.4, 3.3, and we get the next set on July 11th. So inflation is still being very persistent, and I think this is actually going to, cause the federal government to say, hey, we don't need to drop interest rates. We don't need to make any changes. If we did drop interest rates, I think that there's going to be a huge boost into the market, and that could actually cause inflation to go back up. We could see home prices go up. We could see borrowing go back up. We could see that would be good for the economy. That would be good for, to stir the economy, but it would cause prices to go up, which is going to hurt a lot of people. Basically everybody. Everybody ends up paying more in that scenario. So not the best thing that's going to happen. If you go back and actually watch some videos from other people, 6, 12 months ago, they were saying, hey, interest rates are going to drop in, the end of 2023 or early 2024 or the middle of 2024. And that has not happened. If you go watch some of my videos from 6, 12, 18 months ago, I was saying, hey, I don't think this is going to happen until we get inflation down to roughly the 2% mark, probably 2.5 or under. I don't think that we're going to see interest rates drop at anytime soon, right? I just don't think it's going to happen. The economy is still incredibly strong, and really, frankly, there's no reason for the federal government to drop interest rates. It's not going to, in fact, it would only, in my opinion, only make things worse if they were to do that. The big driver for what's happening with with house prices here in Utah is unemployment. Unemployment in Utah is one of the lowest in the country. Taking a look at this graph here, unemployment for rates for states across the state of Utah, we're at 2.9%, which makes us ranked tied for 11th across the country. Comparing to some of these areas here at the bottom of the list, which are closer to 5%, which are ranking much higher. So our unemployment rate is actually almost half of what it is in some of these other states, and that's what's causing a strong demand for housing here in the area. There's good jobs here, there's high paying jobs, people continue to move into the state, which, by the way, if you're thinking about doing that, you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please reach out to me. My information is here on the screen. You can call me, text me, or email me anytime. I love hearing from you guys. I've had over 1,000 people now reach out to me from these videos specifically, and I would love to hear from you as well. So my information is here on the screen. But there's people that continue to move here to the state. It's a very strong area, and people want to live here. Looking at the state of Utah, we're at 2.9% compared to the United States as a whole at 4%. So our unemployment is low, and you got to think about it, guys. If there's a lot of people out there who have homes, they have jobs, they're going to continue to make the payments on their home. They're in a position where a lot of people are thinking, hey, why would I sell my the home that I already bought at 2, 3, 4% interest rate? Why would I sell that and move up to a more expensive home now that home prices have gone up to try and get something better, and also pay, trade my 3% mortgage for 6.5 or 7% mortgage? It just doesn't make sense for most people out there. So yes, people are still buying, they are still selling. But for a lot of people out there, they're sitting on the sidelines thinking, hey, I might make that trade if interest rates were 5%, but I'm not going to do it at 6.5 or 7%. It just doesn't make sense. So this is something that's really a big factor. As long as unemployment remains low, people are going to continue to pay their mortgage and continue to just go on living life. However, if unemployment changes, let's say unemployment starts to rise, that could cause a lot of people to not have any money and be forced to be in a position where they have to sell their home. If they have to do that, that could push the number of the active inventory up, and that could actually push the supply higher than the demand that we have in the market, and that could bring prices down. So if you're waiting for a price drop, if you're looking at the market thinking, hey, our price is going to drop, is this going to happen? I think this is the biggest indicator of whether or not that happens, and something you have to pay attention to closely. In my opinion, as long as unemployment remains low, You know, barring the fact that we see World War III, or we see another pandemic, or we see interest rates go to 8.5%, 9%, 10%, I don't think that we're going to see prices drop. Prices might drop a little bit based on seasonality. We might see prices come down just slightly, you know, going into fall, going into winter, but I don't think we're going to see massive changes. We might see, you know, a couple percentage points, but is it really worth waiting to see if that happens? Probably not. It probably makes more sense to make a decision on whether or not you want to buy or sell a home based on your own individual situation and whether or not it makes sense at this point in your life. So with that being said, guys, we covered a lot here in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was super valuable for you. If it was, I want to be your trusted real estate resource of choice. When it comes to information like this, I hope we get the chance to work together where they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in Utah. I'm an investor myself. I love working with investors, but even if you're just looking for a place for yourself or to sell a home that you own, I would love to help you. My information's here on the screen once more. Please call, text, or email me anytime. And with that said, guys, we'll catch you in the next video.